One of the greatest things that I can do is have something to eat while people are having cocktails. You don't have to have it with cocktails, but this is a dish that's very personal to me. It comes from my great-grandmother's. I'm half Greek, half Italian, so this is from my grandmother's Greek side. And this is a recipe that's based on, if you know what a Spanakopita is. Spanakopita in Greek is those spinach pies that have the phyllo dough. But where my great-grandmother lived in Greece, she was in northern Greece, she was right in a place called the Meteora, which is where all those monasteries were on top of those big mountains. And they didn't really have a lot of access to things. They were far from other towns. So they ended up using cornmeal instead of phyllo. So this is actually gluten-free too, if that's something you're into. And it's very simple ingredients. You've got spinach, dill, parsley, leeks, scallions, feta cheese, olive oil, egg, and salt and pepper. And that's it. And then the crust is butter and yellow cornmeal. Really important with the cornmeal. We'll talk about it, the type of cornmeal that you get. So we're just going to get started here. I'm going to show you how easy it is. Again, this is based on a Spanakopita recipe. This is actually called Plasto. So the phonetic of that is P-L-A-S-T-O. I am doubling the recipe here because I actually am very, very fortunate to have my grandmother's original pan. So this is what they call in Greek, pan is called a tepsi. And they still have these. You can get these at different places. They'll look like this, or they'll be smaller, or things like that. But this is one of the only things that I have carried through me all the places that I have moved to. This is my great-grandmother's, and this is where the magic is. So you might not have the magic, but I guarantee you, you will have everything else that tastes delicious, okay? So the first, again, we are doubling the recipe, but at the end, you're going to see what the half recipe is. So you don't have a tepsi, you could use a pan like this. You could use a pan, something that you bake bread in, or something that you make pies in, anything like that you're able to do. Okay, so I am doubling this up, so I'm going to put in the spinach. This is actually a whole pound. And listen, I know this looks intimidating. I know it looks like a lot. Trust me, spinach, when you cook it, actually shrinks a lot. So it's going to look like we're putting a lot in there, but it actually is going to really shrink with the heat. And that's why I have a big bowl. The big bowl is just because I can get a chance to mix it and things won't overflow. So this is a whole pound of spinach. And then what we'll do before I'm going to chop everything up. What we're also going to do in the meantime is we're going to put in about a pound of feta. Okay. So again, you would only use one of these bags. These all come in like 8-ounce bags, 7-ounce bags. This is the Greek feta. So we're just going to sprinkle that in. I will move this down so you guys can see a little bit better. So we're going to sprinkle all this in here. I am putting in 2. Again, I'm doubling this recipe. Now, typically we would make this for Easter or holidays like that, but now it's a perfect kind of thing that I love to make when I have guests over, or if I'm making drinks. It's usually one of the first things I give to them, and I love serving it when it's right out of the oven. It's just hot and warm, and it's got a lot of great flavor in it. So there we go. That's a pound of feta. Okay, let me give my hands a quick rinse here, and then we're going to put 2 eggs in. You will put 1. Crack those 2 eggs in. And then we're going to put a good amount of salt and pepper. I love using these Malden salt flakes because they're pretty substantial. So I'm going to put 2 big pinches of that. And then I'm going to put probably grind this up about 20 to 25 times. This is definitely one of those dishes that has evolved for me as well. I mean, I've been able to put other kinds of greens in here. I put mushrooms in here. I'm really showing you the traditional way. So we'll put that in there. And then we'll put a little bit of olive oil in here. Usually comes out to about 1/4 cup because we are going to do probably about 1/2 cup. I'm going to put that to the side. And then all of these herbs right here, we're only going to use pretty much the white part of the leek. So you can see I'll cut all the way down until the branches start. I mean, this is the scallion, sorry. We'll cut from there, And same thing we'll use all the way down to about here. So just to show you, I'll use that part, right? And then we'll use this part. And I'll probably take the tops of those off just so you see. Okay? So I'll chop all that up finally, and then the parsley and the dill. Okay, so after you've chopped that up, we've got it all here. I've got the dill, the parsley, the leeks, and the scallions. You might get a little teary-eyed. I'm getting slightly teary. You can't really tell, but you might get a little teary-eyed from the onion. We're going to take that, and we're going to put it into here. So you can use your hands. You can take the whole cutting board. So you can see, I mean, I have this big bowl because it's just so much. I'm doubling the recipe. I want to mix it with my hands. That's kind of the key thing that I love about it. So once it's in there, now what we want to do is we want to really mix this up, all right? You've got the oil, the eggs in there. Dill is also a major ingredient in Greek food. There's so many, dill is used a lot. Dill, cinnamon, tomato. And that's pretty much it. So you can kind of see this, right? Got this done here. Mix that up really well. Let me just rinse my hands for a second. Listen, I've preheated the oven to 325. And now we are going to take my great-grandmother's pan. And it's pretty amazing that I have it. So we got this. We're going to do, all you do is coat the pan with a little bit of olive oil. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit in there, and then what I'm doing is I'm spreading it out, okay? So what's going to happen is we're going to make the crust in two ways. We'll make the bottom crust, I'll put it in the oven for a little bit, and then we make the top crust. Both of those are slightly different consistency, so it's really, really important that we get that down, okay? All right, so we've got that. Now let's go and make the bottom crust. So now we're going to make the bottom crust of the Plasto. And we're using just 3 simple ingredients. We're going to use a yellow cornmeal, so it's really important. What you do not use when it says polenta or grits or things like that. It's the yellow cornmeal. It's a really fine ground, and it's exactly what you need. And then you just use some whole milk. So we're going to start this off, and I'm going to do this the best I can proportion-wise for you. Again, I'm doubling everything. So I'm going to start with 2 cups of milk to 1 cup of the yellow cornmeal. So I'll put in the 2 cups of milk there. And then we're going to do 1 cup of the cornmeal. And now listen, it's really important that this bottom crust is actually more on the thick side. So we actually want it to be thick, but not too thick. And then we're going to put about 1/4 stick of the butter in there. So this is just salted butter. You're going to put that in there. We're going to turn it on and start cooking. What I like to do is typically something like that could get lumpy pretty quickly. So I like to use a little small whisk. Listen, you could take a fork and just keep stirring it, but I'm going to use this whisk because it will really help me to kind of break up the lumps. That's what I want to do. And it will happen pretty quickly. You'll see it will start to thicken. I don't know if you've ever had like a hot farina or a cereal. It's really prepared the same way, where you've got that 2-to-1 ratio. You're using milk instead of water. It's making it creamy. So if you're going to keep this on high, you got to really stay on it. You got to really keep stirring. You got to keep watching it. Listen, if you're doing other things and you want to put that down to low, put it down to low. What's really most important is what the consistency is at the end. Me, I'm just focused on this. I don't have to worry about anything else. But yes, if you do not watch the heat, it could boil over. The bottom could get burnt, and that will really affect the flavor. So right now, this is really, see how it's starting to get thick like that? It almost looks like an oatmeal or a cream of wheat. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that, and you got to be careful. You can't make that bottom layer too thick. So what I'll do is I'll pour a bunch around, okay? And then the key first is to spread it, okay? So you'll take another flat spoon if you have, and what the whole, because it's very, very hot, right? So you don't want to use your hands. And what we're doing now is we're spreading it out to get it around the whole pan, and you're really just kind of covering the bottom, right? So not too thick, but just thick enough. And you want to really spread this out and take your time and really, like I said, if it wasn't so hot, you'd be able to use your hands. But if you can see, I'm just covering the bottom of the pan. You can maybe even see a little bit of the aluminum or the tin coming through, depending on what you got, right? And what I'll probably do is I can just kind of scoop this, right, and just fill in these little pockets here, right? What I like to do too is I can get to the edge. That's really important too, because that's going to be like your crust, right, and your buildup. But as you can see, I'm so close of covering this. It's really, really amazing. And I've never seen anyone make this before. You know, lots of people make Spanakopita, but even Greeks, I mean, they don't know what Plasto is. So it's a real regional thing. It's really specific to the village of my great-grandmother. And there we go. So you see that, right? So what I'm going to do is not 100% necessary, but I have just found over the years of making this that it's nice to just, I've already got the oven preheated to 325. I'm going to pop it in there for about 5 minutes just to kind of make that a little bit solid before the rest of it goes on top. So I'm going to put this in the oven. 325 is what the whole thing is going to cook at. But let's put that in for about 5 minutes. Okay, so it's probably been in there 5, maybe 7 minutes. So it's, the whole idea is you're not getting any of this brown or cooked. It's really just to kind of heat it up a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the whole spinach mixture and we're going to put it on top. Now again, it's going to look like, oh my God, that's too much mixture for the pan. It will shrink. But what's important here, oh, I can smell how great that smells. What's important here is to make sure that you fill it all around, right? To the different sides, put all that flavor in there. Okay, now we are going to do the last step, which is making the layer of yellow cornmeal to go on top, but thinner, okay? So that's the next step. Let's finish that up, and then it's ready to go in the oven. Okay, so this is the second batch. I made it exactly as the same as the first batch. What's more important, though, is you want it to be more in a liquid state. So I'm going to show you right here how that's more liquidy as opposed to thick, okay? Because the top layer, we're not going to cover everything on the top layer. What we're doing on the top layer is we're just, you'll see, we're going to cover all of these leaves, but I'm not trying to hide every leaf, if you see that, okay? So we're going to, because what's going to happen is as this cooks, it's going to spread out. So what's going to happen is you can see that, you see what I've done? I've spread it out, it's thin. I'm not going to really mix it on any leaves. I'm not going to really do that. Maybe you can see if there's a couple of leaves that are really exposed, you could touch a little bit up on that, right? You can see I've got a couple places here. But that's it. What's going to happen is this is going to get really golden brown and crust, and this is going to spread out and be perfect. So right now, you're done. You're ready to put it in the oven. It's at 325. You're going to put it in for an hour and 15 minutes. But what I want you to do, set a timer for an hour, because everybody's stove is different. Look at it in an hour. Okay? See how golden and toasty it is. And then if you need to go longer, you need to go longer. I think you can handle the hour and 15 minutes. And I do that, and you're going to see what it's supposed to look like. So let's get this in the oven. Literally just putting it in, 325. I'm not covering it, and just let that sit. If you have Alexa like I do, Alexa, set the alarm for 60 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to take the Plasto out of the oven. Again, it's sat at 325 for about 75 minutes. But here's the important thing. Everyone's oven is different. So here, we're going to put this over in here, put it on something like that. You see how golden brown that is? That's exactly what you're looking for, is really to have that really kind of golden brown on top. And we're going to let that sit for about 20 minutes. But here's the deal that's really, really important. Everyone's oven is different, so you really have to monitor it after that hour point. So my point is when you hit that hour, it could start to be golden brown. I like to go 15 minutes more. And then what's really important is to let it sit for about 20 minutes before you cut into it. So here you go, here it is, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And the smell, yeah, I mean this was pure love. Never could get tired of it. So we're gonna let this sit for 20 minutes. Okay. Okay. Now the best part. So we've got the Plasto, and listen, you wash your hands. You're clean. If you're just feeling it, basically it's warm, but it's not hot. So I'm gonna give a nice little cut here because I cannot wait to cut into this. So we'll cut a nice slice here. I like to use a spatula to really get underneath. It's almost, listen, it's very similar to almost like a quiche. If you think about that. Oh my God, all these little scraps. Let's have a bite. See how it came out. Oh my God. It still is my favorite dish of all time that I've had. It's so much my childhood. It's so easy to recreate. And again, don't worry about the pan. It's still going to come out great. It's excellent. I like eating it warm for sure, but I guarantee you that there's going to be 2 or 3 slices eaten right from the refrigerator tomorrow morning. So enjoy. I hope this comes out. I hope you get a chance to make this, and it's delicious. And you have this, a salad, a nice cocktail, you're set. Cheers. Delicious.